Welcome to the 2023 Zone A Concord SAU 8 School District Board of Education debate. I am Tony Shinella, the editor of Concord, New Hampshire Patch. Thanks so much for being with us. This program is sponsored by Patch as well as Concord TV. We're in their great studios here at Concord High School. This is our 12th debate, and I just again want to thank the crew here for all of their help. They've just been really great. We're also co-sponsored by the New England Take podcast, as well as Concord TV and Patch. For the next half hour or so, we're going to hear from two of the four candidates who are on the ballot to discuss issues about the school district. They'll each be given 1 minute opening and closing statements, and then I'll ask some questions in between, and we'll give them about a minute to answer each one. Before we meet our candidates, who are Jess Campbell and Michael Guglielmo, a quick announcement. The other two candidates, Robert Avery and Kristen Jackson, are both on the ballot, but they have both dropped out of the race. Ms. Jackson asked to have a letter read during this program. I'm not going to do that, but I will say that she has endorsed Michael, and you can read her statement on our website after you've viewed this program or at any time. Let's get to opening statements. Michael, lady first, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Jess, you have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here tonight. Tony, thank you. 12, that is amazing. I think you're going for a record. Michael, thank you for being here. To Concord TV, thank you for making sure that our community knows what's going on. The first thing I'd like to say to everybody is vote. It is so important to be engaged with local elections, and just by watching tonight, you're already there. So thank you. Get out there, vote. My name is Jess Campbell. I am running because our community, our district, is facing so much in the next 3 years. We potentially have a superintendent retiring. We have large capital investments going on. We have learning gaps that need to be addressed from the pandemic. I believe that the skills that I bring in my experience in education, in the financial industry, and my experience working with the leaders from across the East Coast on hiring, developing, recruiting, I can help with fiscal responsibility. I can help with hiring that great new superintendent, and I could be a part of this community to listen to all of you to make sure your voices are heard so we can ensure that we have a strong district and a strong community. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Michael, 1 minute.
My name is Michael Guglielmo. Many of you may recognize my name. I am a single father raising a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. I did some prison time. While I went to prison with a 7th grade education, I earned a GED, high school diploma, a paralegal degree, a Bachelor of Specialized Studies in Paralegal Sciences, a Master of Arts with a specialization in political philosophy, and I helped create the first inmate staff college program. I was an adjunct professor to the Concord Community Technical College, and I also run a construction company, so I have quite a knowledge of construction.
Excellent, thank you. Michael, let's go to you first. Many voters have raised concerns about your prior criminal history.
Yes.
I know from documents you've submitted on Patch that you have resolved all of your arrests, and we've taken them down because that's what we do for everyone who is arrested and clears their charges and they get taken down. And as you said, you were convicted in the 1980s. Many of those stories still remain online. One of them accused you of sexual harassment that was inaccurate, and later you were not found or convicted of that. You were also charged in another case where you were actually the victim of the incident and not the person who was the perpetrator. But voters are worried because of what they see online. How do you alleviate voters' concerns when they consider you as a candidate with everything that they see online?
So I'm here to represent the rights of parents, and that's the thing that has come into great call lately. I mean, they're characterizing parent activists as domestic terrorists. Well, in the 1940s, the United States Supreme Court established the parental rights of parents. I don't want my child sexualized. I don't want any gender fluidity going on in my school. And you're not going to crush me. You can't cancel me. I work for myself. You may do that to other parents, but that's not going to happen with me. I'm here to fight for your rights. You stand with me, you vote for me, and I will fight for you.
Thank you. Jess, You were one of the parents who was very active in supporting the cross-dressing art teacher at McAuliffe Elementary School earlier this year, which was a case that Michael brought up. He made some rather disturbing sexual comments on posts when he was not a teacher. You suggested, I believe it was on Channel 25, that employees should be authentic to themselves. While there are many parents who supported your position, there were others who didn't, and many of them were actually quite silent due to fear of the mob, for lack of a better term. But if you win, you have to represent everybody.
Yeah.
That includes the 65% of your district who are not Democrats. Now, they may be all over the map, and we know Republicans and independents are all over the map on what they think.
Yeah.
But they may not have the same views as you. How do you balance your personal political views of those of taxpayers or parents who may disagree with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. This school board is not, the school board needs to be nonpartisan. To me, it is not what side of the political spectrum you're on. The school board represents every family, it represents every student. And my education in anthropology, what I was trained to do is to actually be involved with communities that I may not disagree with in a very respectful way and to listen. And I pride myself in the fact that I can change my mind. You can change my mind. Michael can change my mind, right? And I'm actually quite excited to get to know the community even more, get to know community members who think quite differently than me and learn from them. Who knows, maybe there's something I can learn as well. So going into this, I am not going into this representing one party. I'm here to truly represent our district. And that includes you, Michael. If I do have the honor, it includes everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's talk about probably the biggest elephant in the room, which is the new middle school project. Yeah. The initial price tag for the school is around $176 million. State aid is expected to be around $70 million, even with an interest rate of 4%. And Jack thinks he can get it, the business administrator. And I'm sorry, I don't think he's going to get 4%, but whatever. He has done miracles before. The final cost of the building is going to be about $250 million. The district has been collecting feedback from residents concerning where to place the school. What are your thoughts about the overall project? Let's go with you, Jess, first.
Yeah, thoughts on the overall project. It's a lot of money. And as somebody who pays taxes and as a child whose parents' home actually went into foreclosure because we couldn't afford the community that we lived in, that price tag is terrifying. And especially right now in Concord, when we think about affordable housing and who can afford to live here, do we have enough housing for who? This is a big price tag. What I would say as far as the middle school is concerned, it needs to happen sooner rather than later. When we heard from students, their top priority is having a good education with good teachers. Part of the plan, I know we saw the plan for best case, and that was $176 million. I don't think we need all those bells and whistles. I think we really need to focus on our curriculum, focus on making sure that our kids are prepared, that they are learning reading quicker, right? That they're more into math, that we're actually assessing those proficiencies. We need to focus more on the teaching. We need to focus more on the students. And get that school built sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Without getting into too much personal information, since you did mention the foreclosure issue, was that in New Hampshire or another state?
No, that was New Jersey.
New Jersey is expensive.
Yep, it's so much.
Well, you don't have to say anymore.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm very open about it.
All kinds of people have all kinds of stories, but 2 words, New Jersey, you don't have to say
That's
anymore.
it.
We know. All right. Michael, I want
to
to pry in a little bit about your construction background too, but give me some ideas or some thoughts about the middle school project.
So, I'd like to first analyze how many parents have withdrawn their kids from public school, how many kids are being homeschooled, how many kids are in charter schools, and whether are we going to continue to feed this bureaucratic beast when the population of students is decreasing. And, maybe there's some problems with Rutland, but there are alternatives that we could utilize for a school system. I mean, there are double-wide school trailers with solar panels on them, something that we could do differently. I'd like to see, I want to see the numbers. I need to see the numbers because, I have a construction background and maybe the Rutland school is depreciating, but let's see how many students are still actually going to the Concord school and how many are being pulled because of the radical agenda.
What, in your construction business, what's the biggest thing you've ever built? Real quick.
I've built houses.
Yep.
I've done huge roofing projects.
Okay.
I've been involved in the development of developments.
Okay. Thank you. Jess, you mentioned that we may actually have or need to look for a new school superintendent, and that's not to say Kathleen Murphy has not announced she is retiring.
No.
I tease her about it all the time. Whenever I talk to her, I go, "Are you going to get another contract? Or are you going to go and retire?" She loves the job and she loves the work, but in whoever wins, her term is up in the middle of your term. She has not indicated what she wants to do. But what skill sets and qualities, we'll go with Michael this time, what skill sets and other qualities would you look for in a new superintendent if you have to find one?
A transparency, honesty, one that defends the children and not sexual offenders that they've employed and failed to do background checks on that have victimized our children. How about that first?
What else? What other things?
Well, someone that's going to be an academic, someone that's going to be about educating our children. I believe that our children should have a classical education. They should love our country. They should love our rights. They should love what we believe in.
Excellent. Jess, what would you look for in a new superintendent, some skill sets or qualities? If you had to look for one.
Absolutely. No, one thing I do love about Superintendent Murphy is her ability to communicate and how quickly she does. I think we need someone that's going to continue that and understand how to communicate with lots of different populations in our community. However, when I think specifically for our next superintendent, we need somebody who understands the classroom of today. Our classrooms are changing significantly, from technology to curriculum to populations to student needs. So we need someone who understands the student of today, the graduates of today, and what their futures look like. We need someone who's going to have a strong vision and make sure that we are providing that quality education to help the students of today for their futures when they graduate.
Great. Jess, let's go to you on this one. The Merrimack Valley School District, or the high school, I should say high school and middle school, which serve Pennacook as well as some surrounding towns, have school resource officers in both schools. Concord's police chief would like a school resource officer at Runlet, but the district has refused to fund its share of the SRO. Would you support funding of an SRO at the middle school and preserve the SRO at the high school?
Yeah, I would definitely preserve it. As far as funding for the future, I have so much respect, and I was taught throughout my entire life to have a strong respect for our service members. And if our chief of police is saying that this is what we need, I need to believe that we have put the right people in place to make those decisions. As far as the price tag, as far as what accountabilities, is there even an ROI on hiring another RSO? Those are some things I'd like to look into detail just so I understand the full picture. But just at face value, absolutely.
Great, thank you. Michael, where do you come on with a school resource officer for the middle school?
The safety of our children is imperative. Absolutely should have an armed officer there to stop anybody that tries to come in and kill our kids.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Michael, we'll go to you on this one. Students are held to specific dress code issues, specific dress codes at schools. As an example, students are not allowed to wear flip-flops, and they're not allowed to wear risque or revealing clothing, although we've seen some things that have been a little racy at the high school. Educators and custodians and other employees do not appear to be held to the same standard as some of the school children, and parents and others have raised issues about this. You have raised the issue about this. There's also a story last week that I broke about a custodian at one of the elementary schools who was investigated for dressing up as a clown and misusing property, the halls of one of the elementary schools, to take horror pictures of himself. Is it time to tighten up some of the dress code and expectations of some employees? And what would that exactly look like if you could implement it?
Listen, if we want to teach hypocrisy, then we allow the teachers to dress how they want while they hold students to another standard. Faculty should be held to the same standard. Let's be honest here, and let's be on the same page. If you want to hold students to a standard, then you should be held to the same standard. When you have an art teacher dressing in flip-flops, clothes, earrings, shaved head, beard, what's up? What's that about? That's not right. It's not right. It's real simple. Real simple. Boys are boys, girls are girls. Everybody dress appropriately. If you're going to hold the kids to one standard, then you have to adhere to the same standard. Otherwise, you're teaching hypocrisy.
Just to follow up real quick, you actually made a statement during the art teacher issue where you said, and I don't want to misquote you, but you said, if he was full trans, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
So
Can
the
you
gender,
clarify that?
yeah, so the gender policy by the school says if you have to be one gender or the other. So if you're going to go to school and you want to dress like a woman, then you got to dress like a woman. If you want to go to school and dress like a man, then you dress like a man. You can't be both. So this guy was engaging in gender fluidity, gender dysphoria by engaging in both male and female dressing. You can't do that. If my kid came home to me and I was at the sink cooking or at the stove cooking and I was wearing a pair of flip-flops or pumps and a dress and a beard, what does that say to a kid? You cannot be inculcating gender dysphoria in toddlers. It's tantamount to child abuse and it should not be happening.
Some men do wear flip-flops while they're cooking.
But not in school.
No, but not in school. Okay, all right, okay. Jess, same question to you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about dress code, if we're speaking specifically about gender, there is not a hard.
No, I'm not. It's open-ended.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
open-ended about a dress, you know,
Okay.
and I really want to make this point, and I made the point in the same school board, and then I'll be quiet.
Yeah,
School
no, you're
board debate.
fine. Thank you.
It really is, you know, kids are not allowed to wear flip-flops at the high school, you know, and
Yeah.
that's a safety thing. They can't run, right? So, I mean, there's logic behind that, but
Yep.
you're telling children they can't wear what they want. So it's
Yep.
it doesn't have to do with just the art teacher. It's anybody.
Got it.
And you do
Perfect.
have other issues concerning like
Yeah.
logos on hats and
Yeah.
T-shirts and all.
Yep.
Some are
Yep.
banned, some aren't. It's very gobbledygook kind of. So it's
Thank
open-ended.
you. I appreciate that.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, thank you. As far as dress codes for our teachers versus our students, we make the best decisions we can with the information that we have. If our community is telling us, or if our district is telling us we want to revisit, of course we should. From a industry perspective, from the business world, I will say that dress codes in general are shifting. You see much more dress for your day policies, whether it is in education or it's in a different profession. I would say if we're preparing our students to leave college, they are going to be around lots of different people. And as long as there is no profanity, as long as we're being professional, as long as that we're being kind and having that level of open communication, I don't have an issue with dress code. I think if there's one-offs, those need to be addressed on their own. I don't think that there should be a set thing just for teachers because of one incident. With the students, I think that's something that can absolutely be revisited, assuming that we keep their safety first in all we decide.
While you may not have been concerned about the art teacher,
Yeah.
give me 15 seconds on what your reaction to the custodian story was.
Oh, yeah, sure. So the custodian, honestly, my first question is I need to find more. I love reading your articles. I love reading monitor articles. I love reading different comments from different people because you really do get those different viewpoints. My immediate reaction is using facilities for something that he may get monetary gain on. That rests a little bit uneasy with me. However, I don't know the full situation. As far as the dress, we do have folks dress up all the time for costume days, right? Even at work, we'll have like employee spirit days where everyone's gonna come in dressed Western for the day, right? So we have people dressing up like different things. With that incident, I just need to know more about motive and what conversations were had, and I know a lot of that can't be public right now.
I think that if he had paid for the school and rented it, wouldn't have been such an issue. Do you
No,
want to
I
take
agree.
15 seconds to talk about the
He'll get
core
money
clown
for that.
custodian? Right? No,
That's
I
how
know.
we get money.
It's like,
We rent them
you
all.
gotta pay for the
That's
room,
how we
dude.
get our
Come on.
money.
I mean, if he was engaging in a Halloween thing, and I mean, a lot of people dress up for Halloween. That would be one thing. I don't see what he did as bad as what has happened with other people. You punish this man for something that's innocuous, while you allow some horrendous things to happen and no punishment. Matter of fact, you just whitewash it. Yeah, I got a problem with it.
Okay.
Let the janitor go.
Yep. Michael, let's go to you. School suspensions were down in the last school year compared to the prior year, but they were still high, about 500. Many were for, you know, various inappropriate behavior, cigarettes, things like that, but some were due to pretty serious things: harassments, threats, drugs, fighting, and even weapon possessions in a couple of cases. What more can be done as a school board member to ensure that the students are not only safe, but they're also behaving properly? And that's around that 500 number is in all the schools, 1st to 12.
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, it's hard to control individual behavior. I mean, the best thing we can do is try to set a standard that they adhere to, some education. I mean, we can't control everyone's behavior. I mean, obviously, we can't have weapons in school, period. Maybe we need metal detectors. I mean, it's hard. It's horrible that we have to do that, but inner cities have that. Maybe that's what we need. Can't have it. inappropriate behavior. I mean, that starts at home. If you don't take care of your kids and you don't mentor your kids and you don't discipline your kids, then that's on you.
Okay. Jess,
Yeah.
school suspensions, any thoughts?
Yeah, my perspective on this is very much from leadership principles. When you see folks that are disengaged, when you see folks who are not bringing their all, or are just maybe are checked out, there is a reason for this. And these kids have been through so much. And I'm going to go back to the point I made earlier about learning gaps. I think that there is a big need for that. And a lot of statistics show that to help with these learning gaps or to limit them is through increased tutoring, right? It's making sure that there's no more touch points with the kids. It's making sure that everyone feels heard, right, from an academic perspective. When I think about my position on the board, it starts with us building that culture with the superintendent, building a culture of academic rigor where folks come to school to learn, to be their best, to be productive members of societies in ways that make sense for them. So if we start with that, with our culture, and make sure that we stand true to that vision, it does trickle down. And again, that more touch points, more time with the kids so we can highlight them and let them shine, that's what will make a difference.
Jess, let's go with you. The budget currently is around $100 million. If you looked at the budget increases over the years and then the enrollments, it would be like this.
Yes,
So
it
you got
is.
enrollments that are going, enrollments that are going in a nosedive, and it's a little bit like that. It's a crooked. And then the budget's going straight up. We're going to have a lot of new houses built, so there's probably enrollments are probably going to go up, which means that the budget's actually going to go up too.
Yep.
At the same time, we're all paying some of the highest property taxes in the history of the city. What more can you do in the next 3 years, because that's your term, to rein in costs and spending? Do you have any pet things that you think need to be looked at or any ideas of that nature?
When it comes to spending, traditionally the biggest expenses come from your workforce and from your property. Always. Not always, most of the time. Those first two things I'd look at. I don't really want to touch workforce because, as I mentioned earlier, we have these gaps. We need the people to help our kids. That's most important. When I think about property, I love that you mentioned if the janitor, the custodian who was using facilities, we can rent our properties. There's income to be had there, maybe not a ton, but a little bit, right? So I'd also go back to efficiencies. You are going to find this across so many businesses. Everybody right now is trying to do more with less. There are efficiency gains to be had. Maybe it's getting creative by having high school students help coach some of the middle schoolers on readings, right? If we need more high dosage tutoring, can we tap into NHTI? Can we tap into more of our students who are at the technical school that are going to be paraprofessionals? Can they help with that? So there's ways we can work together. I'd also say open it up to the community. Can we provide more tutoring from our folks who are looking to do more community service?
Great, thank you. Michael, any thoughts about budgeting?
Well, I don't have all the numbers on that, but what I can tell you is I think the system's broke. It needs to be fixed. I mean, if you were running a business based on the philosophies or the disciplines of this education system, you'd be broke.
Okay, thank you. But no ideas on how to rein in costs or raise more revenue. No specific ideas.
I would analyze everything.
Okay.
I'd bring in some
Analyze
bean
everything?
counters. I'd bring some bean counters in. We'd analyze everything down to the cent, and find that any waste, anything cut it right out.
Okay.
Everything should be invested in the students.
Okay. I believe that we are close to out of time, so I'm going to let you each have about a minute and change for your closing statements, and then I have to rattle off all of the locations where people vote. Jess, let's start with you first. You have a 1-minute closing statement.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being here, for watching this video. For those of you who are watching, thank you again, Michael, Tony, to everybody here. I love our community. I have so much respect for my neighbors. I have so much respect for our district, for every student, every teacher, every faculty member. And if I have the honor of serving our community, I will hold your voices to the highest standards within myself. So what you say matters to me. What you think matters to me. I have so much bipartisan support through this. I have spoken with counselors, current district members, past ones, students, neighbors. And what I've heard loud and clear is that we want to make sure that we have a healthy, thriving district so we can make sure our students are proud to go to school, so we can continue to build a strong community together. It's my honor to be here tonight. Thank you so much. Please, please, please go out and vote.
Thank you, Jess. Michael, closing statement, 1 minute.
The Democrats need to be stopped. They're destroying our country. They went from terrorizing our parents to inculcating sexual fluidity in our children, to canceling them, and now they're supporting people that behead others. It's the anti-Semitic thing. It's out of control. You need to be stopped. You're destroying our country, and I'm here to help stop doing that. So you stand with me, you vote for me, and I will fight for you.
Thank you. Election day is Tuesday, November 7th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Voters in Ward 1 will cast ballots in a new location this year, the Merrimack Valley High School gym at 106 Village Street. Ward 2 voters moved to the barn at Bull Meadow a few years back. That is on Bog Road. Ward 3 voters also have a new voting location at the Beaver Meadow Elementary School at 40 Sewells Falls Road. And Ward 4 voters cast ballots at the Green Street Community Center at 39 Green Street, which is where the Ward 5 voters used to cast ballots. So Ward 4 is now at the community center there. Patch will have an online voters guide with all the information and all of our stories for the 2023 election, including candidate profiles and other information. Thank you so much for being with us. For Concord TV and the New England Big Podcast, I'm Tony Shinella. Thanks again for tuning in. Get out and vote.